Good morning, my 1015 family, and anybody else I gave this link to. So I wanted to, people were asking me about pictures and stuff, so I thought I put a presentation together, and then I recorded some of it ahead of time. So we're going to be meeting for donuts this morning. For those that don't know, I'm at the 1015 RV park down in Weslaco, Texas, in between McAllen and Harlingen, close to the South Padre Island that we visit. In Mexico is just right down the street here, Progreso. And so I'm at the RV park. We have 10 a.m. Friday donuts, and I'm doing this little presentation for there in person too. So just a little bit about the Camino Santiago de Santiago. It's been tread for centuries. They call the walkers pilgrims. Usually they were, it started out to be a religious pilgrimage to the tomb of St. James, and today only about 25% still walk for religious or spiritual reasons, or so they say anyway. I think the whole thing becomes spiritual when you think about it, because you're doing this challenge, and you're with yourself, and you're with the beauty of the nature and all that kind of stuff. It becomes spiritual. So and you either, and then just from everyone that I've talked to, it's either you're going for a specific reason, or you have some deeper um um thing that you're getting through. Sometimes people go after a death in the family or some other kind of loss. And I went because I met a bunch of people coming into a hostel in southern Spain in 2016. And they were all ages. I think the oldest was in their late 70s, early 80s, somewhere around there, with his wife, who they met on the Camino several years ago and then got married. So that was a sweet story. But there was somebody as young as 18 that night, and I stayed up for 4 in the morning, listening to all the stories, hearing all the breakthroughs. And I said, I'm going to do it. And so I decided, that was in 2016. I decided that 2024 was going to be the year. And then I just because I was getting my Social Security started this year, and figured I'd have enough money. And I guess all of you that are in the room, but even some that are listening, you have this retirement like dream goal, and this was mine. And then so I planned my whole life around it. I moved into an RV, and moved down to Texas, of course, to be near my family. But I downsized, and so this was going to be my lifestyle. And I had intended to possibly stay longer and all that kind of stuff. So I just planned my whole life around it. Here I am. um and so the next part of this is, I want to, let's see, I want to start showing pictures and everything, but I want to kind of start talking about, I'll start going to the pictures and share my screen, and then I'll start talking about a day in the life of a Camino walker, or as a pilgrim. So people, along the way, we have a greeting called Camino if you're in Portugal, Buen Camino if you're in Spain. It's just like good day, good Camino. You hear it in a lot of different languages, and a lot of different people are are doing it all day long, all day long. And so people also, kind of from the beginning, people might plan to do it with an organization and uh get everything taken care of. I decided to do it solo, to have that little bit of that created stress of being able to get from one place to the next, and having that real pilgrim type experience. But those that know me know that I can't, I'm somewhat of a princess. So I added some of those features in there, and so it wasn't quite as deprived as some walkers. And if I learned nothing else on the Camino, I learned that you do your Camino the way you want to do your Camino, and this is my Camino. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and start doing some of those pictures. I don't think I need this one anymore. All right. I'm going to be in the background talking, and once in a while I'll let the pictures go and get back here. So prior to the Camino, I did a little traveling in Lisbon and in Porto. I stayed for a month prior to the rule is you can stay for 90 days without a visa. Even though I was in a process of oh, sorry for the cuss word right there for you folks, but I had to have that. And they do a lot of wall art in Portugal. So and this is Lisbon up here. This is Porto on a main street. We're out some shopping, and that is Porto as well. Like I said, I was getting myself ready to go to Portugal. All right. I mean, to the Camino. And oh, right behind me is where I started. You've got the Atlantic Ocean here, and this is the pathway to the Camino in the beginning. Right. Let's go to preparing. Okay. So I've got some of this stuff on the table. I'm going to open this one up. So you pick up your just like you have a passport to go out of the country, you have a passport to go on the Camino, right? And so you pick that up here, and I got that on that picture there. And in person, I'm gonna just show you. I've got some things on the table right here, but you go to this church to pick it up. And so I went right to the church to do that my first day. And in the bed and breakfast that I was in, I just spread everything out to kind of look at it. Of course, I brought, another thing I found out, I didn't need hardly anything that I brought. And so here I have it. Prior to my going, spread all out, followed all the camping rules, although I didn't do any cooking or any kind of camping or on the road, right? So I stayed in what you would they call them algarves, where it's like a hostel, and there's bug beds, and there's maybe one meal served sometimes, not so much since COVID, but sometimes they serve a meal, and I did get a meal at one place. Or I stayed in a fancy little Airbnb, depending on my mood, and how I got from one place to the next, because I had some hard days and some good days. Okay, so this is me starting to, pull my stuff together. Now I had started out with this backpack here, in the middle. I started with this one right here, and it was too heavy right away. I had to go and get one, a smaller one. I had 3 backpacks, by the way, but okay, here's my second one. And it was smaller, but it was like so bulky, and there was no room in there. So I ended up getting another one in another one of the communities. Okay. And so that was yeah, it was just crazy. This is kind of the square. I think this is the square in Porto, but when I look at it here, it kind of looks like the square in in Santiago, Spain, but it is in Porto. So those are some pictures. This is a very famous kind of, or a thing that they're famous for, the tile, ceramic tile on the buildings. And I just wanted to get a picture of that. And here's my map. So so I started in Porto. Okay. Now some people start in Lisbon and they go all the way to Santiago. And I started in Porto. I did 175 miles. And so I followed it as much as I could on the coast all the way up. Yeah, Vigo was my favorite shopping place. And there was another one, Pontevedra was another one of my favorite shopping places. Of course, some things don't change. And then I started switching over to Central instead of going this way over here. It was gonna give me another day and another 20 steps or so, miles, I mean. And so I opted just to go inward and then on to Santiago. Okay. So that's that. Let's see what else in the preparation do I have here. Yeah, that's all good. So I decided to when I had this, the big one, that big one, I decided to get a transporting company, and it was only gonna if you tried to do this ahead of time, they were saying prices like $1,500 and stuff like that. And so I just said no, I'll figure out how to do it myself. And so I got a transport company, and they only charged me $7 a day to send my big one. So I started out really having that transported and then carrying this small pack right here. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, stop if you want to take a, have you got some questions and stuff, and I'll pause us a bit. Of course, I don't want to go to the finish last. Where's my number 3? Come on, number 3. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is part of the experience. Let's go into the experience. Again, this is back where I am right now in the picture, and then this picture here is definitely the it's beautiful. It's right outside. It's right there in Porto. If you can see the city in the background, and that's where I started the walk. Okay. I had a driver drive me there from my apartment. He was kind of taking care of some things for me, and so that's just kind of how I do solo travel, to make sure I'm safe and all that kind of stuff. Have some local person be my driver. Yeah, there's that again. Oops. All right, so I already did all that. All right. Let's go to, I must have put those. Oh, I see. Okay. So it was raining the first few days of the walk, but this is like in the beginning, and it was just it wasn't here we go. See how people were all dressed up in their gear. There's some surfers out there. And I didn't have too far to go. So I did from what they would call 10 to 15 kilometers a day, 8 to 12 miles a day. So a lot of that's low. Lots of people did more like here, go here. All right. Most people did 20 miles a day. So I don't think we need to hear the rapid waves right now, because this was part of the walk. Okay, so here's me all dressed up, in my rain gear. I was really upset. okay, after 4 days in the rain, and the rain was filled up my ear, and I was just so upset. And so after 4 days of rain, I opted for cab rides. So all in all, I still did 175 steps and 17 miles, or 175 miles walking, and I did 17 miles a cab. So yeah, so I just couldn't do it any longer with all the um I was always picking up flowers. There was a lot of flowers and everywhere. So, oh, here I am in my beautiful little rain gear. I know it looks pretty back there with all the blue skies, but believe me, it was pouring down. It was pouring down, and maybe not that moment, but it poured. Some of the foliage. So these are the signs on the trail where you know you're going the right way, or they have arrows and that sort of thing. That just reminded me to bring a couple of these things down to the walk. I've got some stuff. Yeah. So yeah, they're all over the place. So that seashell is the Camino sign. It's not just the coastal trail, it's the Camino sign everywhere. So the trail is marked by those seashells and things like that. There's another one. And there's my passport. Okay. Here's another one. And these are the boots I wore. So I traded out from the boots to the sandals I have on right now. So Tevas, I use Tevas as my friend. And I'm going to send him this. Mike, thank you. I used the Tevas as I switched them out of my boots back and forth, and it worked great. Thank you for that tip. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I had a lot of coastal experience, right? I don't look too good here because this is my first week. I'm like every day getting up and doing the thing, but it's at the beginning. So, and if you all remember right, I had a broken ankle the whole recovering from that a whole year ahead of time. So I didn't do any training. This was my training. Me going out that first walk in that first week, this was my training. So you can do it. You can do it. And I think the mindset was the biggest thing that I can say that kept me going, because I knew that night in 2016 when I heard all those stories that I was going to go in 2024, and that was that mindset that I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish. I'm going to do it. So that's what kept me going. I couldn't go with anybody because I had to go slower because with an injury. So yeah, I was doing, I had recovered, but barely. So I didn't have enough time to yeah, I didn't have enough time to train. So here's now, see right here, there's another one of those little signals. That's what you look for. I only went the wrong way once. It wasn't for too long. The boardwalk was really nice. Several miles of boardwalk. Not sure exactly how much here. Yeah, me and my selfies here. So, oops. Okay, I got to get back to the thing here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, it might be better if I just stay on the page here. So I'll go to 5. Okay, so now you remember that some of these places, these little bed and breakfast, this was the most beautiful place, and that was the owner of the bed and breakfast. I stayed upstairs, and here was my breakfast that morning. And I had, they waited on me, and it was just beautiful. And these are all over, the birds of paradise are all over Portugal. So, um, I know we have them down here too, but I just wanted to, yeah, some of this stuff is the same kind of weather, because we have that coastal weather as well. More boardwalk and um and yeah, and sand and water. You can say that I like the coast, huh? So that is for sure. Let me look at my where I'm at. Okay. Yeah, so one of the things that I did every morning was that I took hand lotion, and as good a hand lotion as I could find. And I didn't want to get too big of a bottle because, um, I was carrying it daily, right? Yes, my big pack was still getting transported, but I only did that about the first 2 weeks, I guess, week and a half, maybe, until and I met up with someone in uh, Via de Condo to travel with me for a couple of days. She did some jewelry for me, like this one that I'm going to be having on in person anyway. And so that was fun. But I left my luggage there, my big luggage, and I just downsized as much as I could to a very, very smaller pack. And then, went the rest of the way with that smaller pack. Okay. So I took, what I was saying about the hand lotion. People were saying to get Vaseline in between your toes and to keep from having blisters. I did the lotion every day, like religiously, as my routine. Woke up in the morning, did my lotion between all my feet, on my legs, my arms, my face, everything. By this time I had lost all my makeup, so I'm going just with that. And it was really, really good for a lot of different reasons, because it started to also became more of a soothing thing. And then, yeah, and then I found breakfast, and I wasn't the one that got up out of bed and went straight out to the walk. I hung out in the city that I was in and walked around and got to know where I was, and that made it um more of a vacation. Again, I chose to be alone. I loved every minute of it alone. Okay. I realize that I need a lot of downtime in the work that I do, but I also just need a lot of time by myself, you know. I love people, don't get me wrong, and I'm social, and I like people, but having this time to myself, for myself, was meaningful in of itself, right? So here's another one of those signs, and then here you go. So let me pause for a second and see if there's any questions. I'll stop in the room. Okay.